Do you ever deal with negative thinking, maybe circular thoughts or worried thoughts? You just can't get a certain problem out of your mind, even though you can't quite come up with a solution to actually solve it. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I'm Michelle. I'm a functional nutrition counselor and clinical herbalist, and I help my clients to address underlying trauma and nervous system patterns that keep them stuck in patterns of anxiety, depression, low energy. And this idea of dealing with negative thinking, circular thoughts, worried thoughts is something I see in a lot of clients. And I think the first thing to answer is, why do we struggle with these negative thoughts? What's happening that keeps us stuck in a cycle of worry and anxiety that we just can't seem to shift? Well, this all comes back to the state of our nervous system. Our nervous system really has one job, and that is to tell us that we are safe. And if we don't feel safe, our body, our mind, we're always going to be looking for information to help us stay safe and feel safe in our body. And so, negative thinking, worry thinking, it may be a stress response, a trauma response, even where we've learned to constantly scan our environment for cues of safety or danger. And this can even be on a mental level where we are constantly looking for things that might put us into a place of danger. And so it's really our job of our nervous system to keep us safe. And so if your nervous system is constantly sending signals that there's something unsafe, then we need to tune in and recognize that our nervous system is doing its job and asking why these patterns are showing up. And then we have many tools to shift this. Of course, many people take a thought approach, if you will, to shifting these negative thoughts. And so they might work on meditation or somatic work. I can find it helpful to maybe quote a scripture or a mantra or a quote that they find really valuable and helping to shift the mindset pattern. But I also want to recognize that what's often overlooked is that there is a pattern showing up in our nervous system biology that's actually keeping us stuck in this place of worry, anxiety, fearfulness that we can't seem to turn off. And when I say nervous system biology, what that means is that on this internal biological level, we may have different dysfunction or imbalances that are keeping us stuck in patterns of low neurotransmitter function, right? Those feel good chemicals that help us feel safe and alive and happy and not anxious, overwhelmed, or depressed. And so there are many different things that can impact our neurotransmitter levels, including nutrient deficiencies, biochemical imbalances, and inflammation. These are some of the top things I look for when I'm supporting my clients who need some support with that nervous system biology to shift out of patterns of anxiety, negative thinking, depression. Now, nutrient deficiencies are absolutely one of the top causes for low mood symptoms that we've been talking about. But I always like to back it up and ask, why are we deficient in nutrients? Of course, it can be due to our diet, if we're just not getting nutrients in our diet in adequate amounts. If we don't have good gut health, that can also impact our ability to absorb nutrients from the digestive system. So I'm always looking at the gut health of my clients. And I find that many of my clients who are struggling with anxiety or insomnia or negative thinking, that there's often an imbalance in their gut microbiome or their ability to absorb nutrients. And that's definitely something that needs to be addressed. The other reason I find that many people are low in nutrients are due to what I call biochemical imbalances. They may have methylation issues, or in some cases, they may have a condition called pyroluria, which actually causes the body to lose zinc and vitamin B6. And that actually plays a big role in how we balance our mood. So anyone with pyroluria will have anxiety or depression, these negative thoughts that they can't turn off. And so looking at these biochemical imbalances, their copper zinc balance, their methylation ability is really important. But I also like to just look at where can I get a quick win for this person I'm working with? Because if they do have imbalances or we need to work on gut health, those things sometimes take a little while to shift. I want you to feel better as fast as possible. And I often reach for herbal support in that situation because with herbs and sometimes amino acid support, we can shift some of these patterns really quickly. There's a quote from a book called Energetic Herbalism by an herbalist named Kat Meyer that I really love because it sums up how well herbs can work to support our mood. In her book, she says that this is the beauty of energetic herbalism. A person continues taking doses of a plant until its pattern has had time to repattern their mind and spirit, allowing them to hold that new way of being and make it their own. And I love that so much because it really defines how we can use herbs to shift some of these unhelpful nervous system patterns that are keeping us stuck in negative thinking. Some of my favorite herbs to use to support anyone who really is struggling with anxiety or negative thinking include passion flower. Actually, this specific herb I love to use for anyone who's struggling with anxiety, circular thoughts that they can't turn off, especially if that's keeping them awake at night. And it can be combined with other nervine herbs like milky oat seed, which is a really lovely trophal restorative to the nervous system. It really helps to nourish and bring balance back into a nervous system that's stuck in a chronic stress response or a chronic freeze and overwhelm response. I also like to use St. John's wort in this situation as well. It's really beautiful for gloom and doom depression, right? That person who just kind of feels gloomy and can't seem to turn their thoughts around to happier, more positive thoughts. And St. John's wort is really indicated for that type of depression and that type of thinking. So these are some of the herbs I reach for to shift the energetic patterns that are showing up in my client's mind and body so they can feel better. And it's why I use herbs as a foundation for the work I do to shift these nervous system biology patterns that are showing up that can be really stressful, right? Like being stuck in a chronic stress response with anxious thoughts, gloomy thoughts, circular thoughts that we just can't turn off. We really want to shift those underlying patterns, right? We want to address the gut health. We want to address the nutrient deficiencies. We want to look at and address any biochemical imbalances that may be playing a role. But we also want to bring in what support we can to shift things as quickly as possible. And that's where that herbal support can be so valuable. I have something for you if you feel like you're struggling with negative thinking, worried thoughts, insomnia due to not being able to turn off your mind at night. I have a free download. It's my top 10 mood reset strategies. And these are the top 10 things that I think anyone who's struggling with their mood or energy should be implementing in order to feel better. And with each of those strategies, I share with you some of my top herbal support that I would be using and thinking about to address each of those tips. So grab that and I will see you next time.